PowerCom is determined to do its part in tackling the digital divide in close collaboration with our partners, the mobile network operators. And this is evident from the rollout we have witnessed over the past 3 years across the country. However, since your question is focused specifically on the Khomas planned site, I wish to inform the listeners out there that out of the 20 sites planned for Khomas, to date, we have successfully completed 2 sites recently to the tune of 4.8 million. Further, we are in the process of awarding 4 more sites, of which 2 are in Rocky Crest, and 1 is near Dr. Semnyoma Stadium in Katutura, and the 4th one is in Ludwigsdorf. The estimated investment for the 4 sites is approximately 6.4 million. Last but not least, 12 of the 20 sites planned for Khomas are currently undergoing through the EIA process, or rather the Environmental Impact Assessment process. The 13th site is already, or rather, the 13th site is ready, meaning we have the land and we have the EIA. And of these 13, of all the 13 expected sites to be constructed within the upcoming financial year to the tune of 20.8 million. Maybe just to give a spread shortly of how are they spread. 6 are spread across Katutura, various areas in Katutura. 1 is in Khomas Down, and 6 in Windhoek Central and other parts of Windhoek.
Okay, now, Amadhila, what are the key factors driving the need for these new communication towers, and how will they benefit the residents of the Khomas region?
Thank you very much for that very important question once again. We are currently having a backlog of close to 500 greenfield site requirements, our anchor tenant requirements. By referring to our anchor tenants, I'm referring to Telecom Namibia. And how did we arrive at this 500 shortfall of greenfield sites? I'll touch, or rather, let me touch on about 4 or 5 key factors which may necessitate the need of greenfield towers in any given situation. Number 1, coverage expansion. No one should be left out in the Namibian house. I think this is a song we should all be singing, as the tone was already set, rightly so, by our visionary and unifying late head of state. May God rest his soul. The mobile companies or mobile network operators such as Telecom and others have a responsibility to serve the underserved areas, both in urban but mostly rural communities. Therefore, expanding network coverage to these areas, as we may have witnessed, or rather as we may have witnessed in our recent groundbreaking, mostly in the Zambezi and Kavango West, that remains a priority, stating construction of new towers to reach these regions. I wish to emphasize that PowerCom is really here to fill this gap. I think secondly, the second point I would like to touch on is the new technology. Now, technology keeps advancing. As telecommunication technology advances, it necessitates updates to existing infrastructure or construction of new towers to support new equipment and technological capabilities. The classic example is the introduction of evolution. Let me say evolution of the Gs. That's now I'm referring to the 2Gs. You know, we used to have 2Gs, 3Gs, 4Gs, and now we are talking of 5G. Now, with the 2G, you will notice that we had these tall, network towers. I think they were 80 meters mostly, which could cover a radius of probably about 30 kilometers. However, you also notice that when the 3G and 4G were introduced, the network towers also started sort of increasing in the height, and we're not necessarily as tall as the earlier towers. Now, with the introduction of 5G technology, for instance, it requires even a denser network of towers and small cells to produce the high speed and latency. Meaning 5G technology as compared to 2G, which required lesser towers, 4G and 5G shall require more tower infrastructures. In fact, 5G technology will even require more infrastructure compared to 4G as it operates at a higher frequency with shorter ranges, hence more infrastructure requirement as we move from 2G, 3G, 4G, and now 5G.
Now, could you share more details about the 3 projects that are currently underway in the Eros, Crest, and Daan Viljoen? What progress has been made so far on them?
Okay, I'm happy to report that the 3 projects have been 100% completed, and I wish to also thank all the contractors involved in construction of these sites. All the 3 sites are ready for any licensed operator to deploy their equipment. At present, I'm informed that our anchor tenant, Telecom, is in the process of actually deploying on those 3 towers. In fact, and this is where PowerCom comes in, we build more network towers in urban areas to distribute the load and maintain network performance. It's not just in urban areas, but also in other areas. I think the other determining factor can also be attributed to the growing data consumption. As we are aware that with the rise of AI, which is artificial intelligence, IoT, which is Internet of Things, rise of smart cities, increasing use of smartphones. I think most of our people in urban areas especially do have smartphones. Streaming services and other data-intensive applications such as e-learning, e-health, and e-everything else. All this comes with a higher demand for bandwidth and faster data speeds, robust and widespread network coverage to support the connected devices and services. And this necessitates really that more network towers are required or need to be built to be able to handle the load. I think the other one can also be, it's attributed to the regulatory requirements, as we are aware that, you might have picked up in media that normally the regulator does auction what we call spectrum auction. So mobile operators then compete or bid for this spectrum. And at the end of the day, the regulator award or assign new spectrum to the successful bidders. This regulatory exercise or outcome or any other regulation change or availability of new spectrum can equally lead to the need of new or additional towers in order to enable the adequate utilization of these new frequencies.
Mm-hmm. What challenges, if any, have been encountered during the planning, the construction phase of these communication towers, and how are they being addressed?
Yes, I think, like I always say, that challenges are there, but solutions also equally lies with us. Maybe to touch on a few or 2 challenges that I can really pinpoint out at this juncture is that we continue to experience a lengthy process of land applications and approval of environmental impact assessment for issuance of environmental clearance certificates. We have, however, been hard at work upping our stakeholder engagement strategy, first with the custodians of land and the authority tasked with the issuance of environmental clearance certificates. The process is actually starting to yield some results. I think we have been noticing some improvements in this process. I think the other one, which is really close to my heart, is the fact that we try to contract the local SMEs as much as possible. I think local SME contractors have been awarded majority of the construction contracts. However, we have noticed with great concerns that some of the SME contractors, either they lack sufficient resources like human or tools and equipment, or they lack financial resources just to, for the project to kickstart. Now, to swiftly execute the project, which actually leads to delays in timely completion of projects. We have taken some measures to assist the SME contractors as part of our strategy and philosophy, which is also to empower the local SME contractors. And these measures include whereby PowerCom would come in and we would then procure the capital invest materials such as tower material and fencing materials directly from the suppliers. And then the contractors are then required to provide only labor and the rest of the affordable and ready materials. So, for example, concrete and steel reinforcement. I think the other initiative or intervention we are bringing we would like to, we intend to introduce training courses for upcoming SME contractors to equip them with the basic tower construction skills which will then provide a broad understanding of the tower construction process and align the client contract expectations and obligations.
Finally, with the environmental impact assessment currently in progress for the additional sites planned for the next financial year, what measures are being taken to ensure minimal environmental disruption and community impact?
Thank you. In fact, PowerCom does make use of qualified environmental impact assessment practitioners. That's one. Now, as part of the EI process or the environmental impact assessment process, the EIA practitioner is required to conduct a public participation meetings to consult and inform all interested and affected persons. And during that process, they are required to consult on the planned activity, and in this case, is the construction of the towers. During these consultative meetings, the interested and affected persons are expected to actually voice their concerns about that planned activity. In this case, is the construction of the tower, maybe within their area, within the close proximity of their properties. These concerns are part of the submission to the Environmental Commission, which determine the weight of each concern as part of the Commissioner's decision-making process. PowerCom, as a responsible corporate citizen, will always minimize any environmental impact during the construction and operation of these towers at any given time. And last but not least, PowerCom is further undertaking a deliberate measure to only deploy. I think you might have seen those towers which look like trees, like camouflaged tree towers. And we intend to put up this type of towers in urban areas as much as possible, because they also reduce the visual impact of the tower. I think those are some of the issues, or some of the interventions we are putting in place.